Welcome back, everybody. Welcome back to the Canyon. Welcome back to another installment of the Quickview series. This one, where we do a little bit of our best Gretchen Wiener's impression, where we're trying to make fetch happen, because today is the... Wait, I need to read it. I need to read the document. This is the Quickview of the GOUP. I know that's go up, right? I don't like that. Goop of the Goop RC FYZ 8088 RTR. And you say to yourself, what is that? What was in the thumbnail? You shouldn't be asking. The Goop RC 80 amp. This is a brushed controller. Much as Gretchen was attempting to make fetch happen, we are still seeing people try to make brushed happen. I do love a brushed setup. I love a good brushed combo. And at the same time, I will openly and readily admit that brushed is dead. It just kind of doesn't know it. Brushed is dead because of what's right there. The Fusion SE, even at the tariff times pricing that it sits at now, sort of kind of put an end to brush, because the typical, if you want to put brushed in something, typically what you're looking at is a Hobbywing 1080. So far, there's really never been any reason to buy anything else. They're about $44. With a possible light, small exception of the Radiolink Cool 9030, which are fairly inexpensive, but don't have the adjustability and the programmability. The Hobbywing 1080, and by extent the 1080 G2, which is just a smoother, representation. They set a standard of anything below a Hobbywing 1080 is less good. And anything that costs more than a Hobbywing 1080, you could just buy one of these. You could just buy a Fusion and then never have to deal with it again. Some people really like the feel of a brushed controller and motor, and I'm one of those people, but it is very limited and very tailored. And I understand that this clearly here, quarter of the way into the 21st century, is not for everybody. So my favorite brushed motor that there is the Surpass Rocket 540 Plus, what we call the big block, which the part that's the spinny bit on the inside is much bigger, and instead of using ferrite magnets, they use rare earth magnets. Anyway, regardless, it makes it a much more powerful, much torquier motor. And they typically sell for around between $40 and $50, depending on what color you get for the can and what particular seller tends to be selling it. Now, you take that 40 to 45 for that motor, about, let's call it 45 for a 1080, you've spent $90. And this, set it down, this costs about $90. This is zero maintenance. It works all the time. It has incredible drive brake. It does all the things. The Fusion SE made putting something like this basically purely optional, unless we find very inexpensive options to accomplish the task. And the Goop can be found on AliExpress for about $25, which now you see we are $18 less than the cost of a 1080. Do I anticipate 1080 level performance out of this? I mean, I try not to prejudge, but let's be realistic about the thing, right? Probably not. They're claiming 80 amp, and claims are claims, and then there's everything in between, right? So we're going to get what we're going to get. So for the purposes of the test, we are going to run an Injora. You saw it for a moment. We are going to run an Injora 35 turn, which can be found anywhere, the tuned machine. And it doesn't have to be an Injora. Red Spider, and on, and Yakko, and Hackmoto, and on and on and on. There are any number of $15 or less brush motors out there, and we have tested what I feel like sometimes I feel like I've tested all of them because Gretchen is still trying to make fetch happen. There's a brand new motor plate. That thing is snug. 18-tooth pinion, for those unaware, is the smallest pinion that will fit in a Stealth XF gearbox. So that is what we are running because we want to give that poor motor every advantage that we can. I don't anticipate the speed control being overwhelming. What we're looking for is a minimum amount of things. I would like to see low speed control of some level. Could you stop? Would you please? Would you kindly? Come on, you got it. If you got big fingers, you have to keep small fingers on hand. I would like to see drag brake. I would like to see low speed control. I would like to see it not hot enough to cook a pastry towards we get the end of it. And it doesn't look like they exactly shorted us on case material or heatsink. The thing is large. For quick frame of reference, here is the aforementioned Radiolink Cool 9030. Fairly close in size. And then, I mean, a Hobbywing 1080 is diminutive by comparison. So, I recognize, I understand, and I acknowledge the audience for a motor and ESC combo like this. We're going to plug it in hot to hot and cold to cold, not knowing whether or not it's going to put us into reverse rotation. That is another beauty of the brush motor. You don't have to get in there with a programmer, and it's good because there isn't one. There's nothing that you can program on the Goop, and it appears to self-calibrate because, again, we don't have a box to read from, but operation. The ESC must be switched off first. Make sure the adjustable tabs are properly inserted in accordance to battery type selection. And it isn't even really that. There's a little tab here at the end that can jumper into 3 positions. And if you have it right here, it is forward reverse. And if you have it over there, it's forward brake reverse. And if you have all 3 holes filled, which I didn't see anything in the... No, there's nothing. I don't know how you're gonna bridge all 3 points with that. If it's in all 3 points, it's forward brake reverse. Wait, I'm left with an array of unanswered and or unanswerable questions because switch on the ESC. Do not operate until the ESC is beeped. It will beep once if a nickel metal is used. It will beep twice if a 2S LiPo is used. It will beep 3 times if a 3S LiPo battery is used. Okay. The ESC will reduce power by 50% in the event that the internal temperature reaches 100 Celsius degrees. If this thing gets to 212 degrees Fahrenheit, something terrible has come. Okay, it is not soft. It is perhaps delivering on claims of 80 amps. Now, there's basically a singular reason that this is on the bench. Gretchen Wieners. We're trying to make fetch happen. But there's a sub reason under that, which is $25 speed control, $15 motor. Sometimes you can get them cheaper. Sometimes you can find them for $10. So we're talking about a $35 combo. And that is something, because you got kids? You got neighborhood kids? Do you know a kid? Oh! All right, it's not awful. It's not awful on the bench, but we really do need to We really do need to be outside. We need to hear the howl. I am going to hit that trigger one more time while it's on the bench because we got to see if the body is amp or amp. We're going to play a little game called amp or muffler. Is the body going to make it louder or quieter? Oh, so much louder. I mean, I don't know about y'all, and I don't want to reinforce prejudgments and foregone conclusions, but if we're making a little list, not even a pros and cons list, just a little list, and at the top of that list, it said a single word, and it just said deal breakers. That's way up there. Ooh, if you messed with your dual rate, I think you could do Morse code. All right, to the rocks. Let's take a look. $25 for the Goop 8088. My hopes are like, I don't know, here. The drive back was terrifying. There's nothing for about the first 10% of the trigger pull except loud noise. And then it just, that's okay. That's okay. Oh, what about 25%? Okay. All right. It's not the quietest thing I've ever heard, but okay. You know what? That's all right. Now, as we are not quote unquote full featured, we clearly and obviously have no control over the PWM frequency. We can't stop that. But you know what? Oh, lordy. Oh, it should be pointed out. If this is your intention and you are going to fit something like this, the brush controller of your choice, to a straight axle vehicle like this, like say you want to put a very economical setup in this very thing, in this Sendero SE, do not buy a 35 turn motor. Buy a 45 turn or a 55 turn motor because, well, it's fast and it comes on a little abruptly. This is all right. Like this, the Goop. Look, listen to me, Goop. Stop screaming. Here's what the Goop has done. The Goop has definitely positioned itself up there in the this is not trash. If you have a very specific fitment, say you've got a bucket of brushed motors, and you're like, well, I mean, can't throw them away. They're perfectly serviceable. Eh? Yeah, $25? $25. Get away, Skeeto. It's not bad. All right. If it's the vehicle that you're going to drive every day, if this is one of your go-to guys, please don't Goop it. Do all of us a favor and don't Goop it. The Goop will be an excellent partner for the $10 to $15 motor of your choice. Like one of those Hobby Wings. I think Hobby Wing and the 540, do they have a 40 turn? Might be pretty good. It has a delightfully unrefined feel to it. It makes the power. Like, it's definitely putting out enough gusto. Absolutely no problem there. But my goodness. Going into reverse is an absolute adventure. And that 35 turn Endura does not feel bad. Let's see what we got. Hey! I mean, it's not the electronic anchor. It's not like it's staking us to the ground. But let us also take into consideration $40, $25 for the speed control, $15 for the motor. Don't buy. We're going to go off on another little tangent. You can scrimp on a speed control, I think, to a degree. But don't buy sealed can motors. Unless you're buying like a Johnson 550 Power Wheels motor for like $7.99. Then by all means, go ahead. Go for it. Knock yourself out. That 550, do I still have an untasked 550? Johnson 550 on this might be interesting because that's going to produce significantly more torque than this. And those Johnson 550s are usually the equivalent of about 1,000 kV. They're very slow turners because they're designed to be run on 12 volts and up in things like Barbie Power Wheels Jeeps. So this is, I can't even say that it's punching above its weight because it doesn't feel amazing. If you're driving your rig with a Fusion in it, not even a Fusion Pro, just an SE, and someone hands you this controller and you drive it, you're going to go, ah! But if you've got an SC480X and a Reedy crawler in your vehicle, and someone puts this on there, you're going to be like, whoa, slow your roll, big dog. Because this is an improvement. It's a little abrupt at tip-in on with no load. You can see, we're not sine waving here. We're square waving here. It's like off, on, off, on, off, on. And it's definitely there. Now, when you bind it, we can kind of round off the tip on that square wave. It's not so loud that people are going to throw empty cans at you. It's a little pulse width whiny. It's not in the same stadium as a Castle controller trying to push an outrunner. And also, a Castle controller pushing an outrunner is 4 of these? 5 of these? I see an application, 100%. I know for every person that says, I've never used a brush motor, there's someone who says, well, maybe 3 to 1, that says, I don't like Fusions. I don't like the way they feel. I get it. I drive a lot of them, and they feel very different. One of the best feeling rigs in the entirety of my fleet is toothless, Axial SCX-102, fitted with a Hobbywing 1080 and the previously mentioned Surpass Big Block Rocket 540 Plus. It feels so good. It feels like all of this, like when we get into bind, is it even going to bind on us? It's not. We're doing the work. A brushed system with an underpowered motor is as close as you can get to the manual transmission on a car that doesn't make enough power to push its weight. Right? If you go to a bigger motor, you're going to get more power, but it's still a manual transmission where when we get to a stick, if we can get to a stick, I don't even realize I'm doing it. I can feel, I put a little extra focus on the left index finger, and I can feel, this is the motion. It's like constant. I would have to use cruise control. Hey, I wonder if we have a function that's something like cruise control, where we can give ourselves a fixed amount of throttle input. It is a little brisk. Whoa, ho, 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 ho. Slow your roll. Whoa, 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 whoa. Yeah, right there. And we can bump it a little. Dial it back a little. Right there. This is about 13, 14% throttle. This is the manual transmission part. If you have something fitted with a Fusion, it's just going to go, what? It's going to do this. Brah. You give it a little steering input and it goes. Now to get through that, I was using about 35% throttle. This is not a terrible combo. I don't think this combo is remarkably well suited to the like high 30s, low 40s gear reduction that we get out of a Element straight axle XF combo. 35's a little spicy, but it is an excellent baseline from which to operate. I would say 45 or 55 turn. And say you want to build, you're putting a build together. Got him for Skeeter down. You're putting something together very economically. You also benefited from a sale of some sort, and you just want to upgrade. Oh, here's the perfect one. You have a TRX4 Sport RTR or High Trail RTR. Will this speed control treat you better than an XL5? Yes. This claims to have a 5 amp BEC, and the BEC in a XL5 HV is 1 amp. So if you change nothing else on your TRX4 or TRX4 Sport other than to put in the Goop, it will be better. And it will cost you $25. $25 is now here living in the future in the tariff times. That is a price point that I would consider not wasted. If you buy it for $25 and you use it for a month and then say, you know what, I'm gonna do it and I'm gonna buy a Fusion, you won't have wasted your money. Because then a guy you work with or a guy that you run into at work is gonna be like, hey, you do the tiny toy cars that go slow, right? And you go, yeah. And he goes, oh, a buddy of mine's selling one. You want to check it out? And the guy's selling like a 10.3, old JLU style 10.3. And the body's a little rugged, but he's selling it for $100. And you're like, well, I don't need it, but... And then you remember in the back of your mind, you put the Fusion in your TRX4, and in a drawer in your workbench is a Goop and a Titan. And you go, oh. And that's how it happens. That's how it turns from occasional diversion to something resembling addiction. So get you a Goop. If you have those thoughts in your head, if you are I'm tightening my monocle and then I'm adjusting my bow tie. If it's Fusion Pros all around, if it's Three Brothers black jackets going into stuff, you might not be a Goop target. You might not be. But this is, if we drill it way down, and you bought an Enduro Sendero SE for $200 during a sale of some sort, and you took the G4P radio and you threw it into a ravine, and you're left with the SC480X and the Reedy crawler motor. If you put $40 worth of stuff in it, it's better. Then you can gut that, you can take that SC480X and turn it into a winch controller. I'm not mad at this at all. Or maybe, do you like to drive in the mud? Do you like mud? Do you like to get down in the creek? Then throw a $15 motor in it, and after the run, literally drench the inside of that motor with WD-40. Like, it doesn't matter. There is a certain freedom to treating things in the manner with which they were designed, which is ostensibly to be disposable, right? The $15 brushed motor, and by extension the Goop, they're here for a good time. They are most likely neither here for a long time. And a big issue that I think people find themselves falling into, probably against their own better judgments, is heightened expectations. What are your expectations of a $40 powertrain? Unless you have found a way to do it even cheaper, well, or an RTR, your servo probably costs more. Amazon Blue Case, I guess, could stay under it. Your tires and inserts probably cost more. $40 isn't even an investment anymore when a typical RTR is over $500. So I consider this an option, and I consider this an option partially because we are living in the tariff times, and a Fusion SE 1200 costs twice as much as this. Odds are on you will most likely end up buying that Fusion in the future anyway. You probably will. And I tell people, I like brushed. Brushed is dead. We are, some of us, in a part of our core, Gretchen Wieners trying to make fetch happen. And it's not going to happen. There's not going to be a grand resurgence of brushed motors. But what there are hundreds and hundreds of brushed motors out there of absolutely varying degrees of quality and output and potential for satisfaction. So if you're a tinkerer, and maybe you've looked around your workshop, the same workshop that has the Goop and a Titan and a drawer, and you've thought, hey, I've upgraded so much stuff on these 3 rigs, I think I might have enough to build another one. Please, absolutely do that. Absolutely do that. It will, I believe, bring you joy. And that's why we're here. Have we gooped our way into joy? No. Yes and no. I acknowledge it for what it is. For a $25 speed controller, it is absolutely acceptable. It's a very good RTR speed control that doesn't exist. If RTR vehicles came with a speed control of this level, and I said something very similar about the Radiolink Cool 9030, if RTR vehicles came with that speed control, aftermarket manufacturers would sell a lot less speed controls. That's why they don't come with these. And if you can get a Goop for $25, I don't consider it money wasted. It doesn't have an electronic anchor, but I've seen systems that cost way more, do less. So, there you go. You will kind of know. My hope is, if nothing else, my hope is that seeing what you've seen, if you had a consideration in your mind about, well, should I try a cheap brush system in this, or would it be good enough for that? I hope that at the minimum, this will have swayed you one way or another. You'd be like, oh, the wee, wait, sing me in. Wait. There it is. If that's a deal breaker for you, then I get it. If you don't care, awesome. Just, as always, take it into consideration. As always, questions, comments, and concerns in the comments section below. As always, please do consider a channel membership. We give stuff away all the time because I like to, and sometimes we don't have room. And also, as always, in between now and when we meet again, please, one and all, do your very best. Have a good one, everybody. We'll see you again here from the canyon with another thing. And sitting here right now, I have no idea what that thing might be. Have a good one, everybody.